At 1630 hours, a Ukrainian MiG-29 was screaming across Donetsk at 150 meters towards the dam at Maryivka, now a Russian supply highway. While the pilot had successfully used terrain to stay hidden so far, this would all change in a matter of minutes. Unknown to the brave Ukrainian aviator, 3 different Russian radar systems already had him locked in their sights. An S-400's gravestone radar had acquired him at 38 kilometers out. The Tour M2 was tracking from the south, and a Buck M3 was warming up to the east. It was a web of overlapping missile coverage, enough to turn any aircraft into a cloud of debris. But the pilot had a mission. The dam at Maryivka had turned into a superhighway of Russian supply trucks, callously using Ukrainian civilian drivers as human shields. To avoid catastrophic collateral damage, the strike had to happen now, with surgical precision. Hugging the terrain, the MiG-29 followed the winding path of the Dnipro River Valley, using the natural depression to mask his approach. Flying at a blistering 880 kilometers per hour, just 150 meters above the ground, the pilot had one advantage. As long as he stayed low in the valley, the surrounding hills would block him from the prying eyes of Russian radar. But that protection would evaporate in just 8 minutes, when the valley opened up into an expansive stretch of flat farmland. After that, the final 8 kilometers to the target would leave him completely exposed in what fighter pilots ominously call the shooting gallery. As the deadly game of cat and mouse unfolded, the MiG's terrain-following radar and the pilot's finely honed instincts worked in tandem. The human and the machine melded into one, reacting to obstacles ahead faster than conscious thought. Power lines whizzed by, treetops grazed the undercarriage. This was not flying as much as it was controlled falling. The aviator walking a razor's edge between mission success and becoming a smoldering crater in the Ukrainian countryside. But even as the MiG deftly danced with the earth, trouble was brewing in the cockpit. The SPO-15 radar warning receiver, a device that acts as a fighter pilot's eyes in the back of their head, began to wail with increasing urgency. The S-400 to the northeast was now swinging its massive radar array in lazy arcs like a predator catching a scent. The pilot counted the radar pulses like a deadly metronome. 3 pulses meant the S-400 was still 60 kilometers out, just beginning to take an interest. 2 pulses closed that gap to 40 kilometers. The beast was now on the hunt. 1 pulse, 20 kilometers, the dragon was stirring from its lair, ready to spit fire. The math was grim. In a matter of moments, he would be within the engagement envelope of one of the world's most feared air defense systems. It was time for a decision that would spell the difference between a hero's welcome and a somber telegram to his loved ones. Stay low and press on, praying to whatever gods a fighter pilot prays to, or climb to an altitude where his antiquated electronic warfare suite might have a fighting chance of spoofing the S-400's radar. The mission clock was ticking, 8 minutes to the mouth of the valley, 8 minutes before the hunter became the hunted. As the weight of the decision bore down on him, the pilot's eyes flicked to his instrument panel, where a singular piece of equipment held the key to his dilemma. The French-made Hammer standoff precision-guided munition, slung menacingly under his centerline hardpoint. The weapon, a marvel of aerospace engineering, whispered promises of a clean kill from a safe distance. But like a temperamental diva, the Hammer demanded a sacrifice. To unleash its deadly potential, the MiG would need to climb to a lofty perch, exposing itself to the full fury of the Russian air defenses. It was a devil's bargain, trading survival for a shot at military glory. As the MiG thundered through the valley at treetop height, the Hammer sang its siren song, an alluring whisper in the pilot's headset, promising a swift and certain victory if only he would climb into the loving embrace of the S-400's missiles. But the wily aviator, tempted by the harsh realities of aerial combat over Donbas, knew all too well the treachery of such promises. His eyes flicked to his fuel gauge, the numbers dancing a grim waltz. 2,400 kilograms of jet fuel remained, enough for 18 minutes of flight time at this fuel-gulping low altitude. 18 minutes to navigate the shooting gallery, deliver his deadly payload, and limp back to base, nursing a fuel tank drier than the humor at a Russian intelligence briefing. In the unforgiving calculus of aerial combat, there was no room for error, no margin for the luxury of second chances. 6 minutes to the end of the valley. 6 minutes of relative safety before he would be forced to choose between the devil and the deep blue sky. The drone feed on his cockpit display painted a picture of deceptive calm at the dam, a serene tableau of gently flowing water and unyielding concrete. But the pilot knew better. Beneath that tranquil veneer, Russian logistics teams scurried like worker ants, frantically ferrying supplies to fuel Putin's war machine. In a perverse twist of fate, the Russians had press-ganged Ukrainian civilians into service as drivers, a human shield to ward off Ukrainian airstrikes. It was a cynical calculus, trading innocent lives for military expediency. But the Ukrainian pilot, his heart hardened by months of watching his homeland burn, had no time for moral hand-wringing. The dam was a legitimate military target, and he would strike it with the precision of a surgeon's scalpel. 4 minutes to the valley's end. 4 minutes before the MiG would burst from the womb of the earth into the unforgiving glare of Russian radar. The SPO-15 was now screaming with the intensity of a scorned lover, the S-400 locking on with the finality of a judge's gavel. The pilot's gloved hand tightened on the throttle, his mind racing through the grim arithmetic of fuel, distance, and the unrelenting pull of gravity. 2 minutes. The valley walls fell off, the verdant landscape giving way to an endless expanse of blue sky. The MiG was now naked, exposed, a lamb led to the slaughter. In the distance, the dam loomed, a concrete behemoth waiting to be laid low by Ukrainian vengeance. The pilot's thumb caressed the weapon's release button, a lover's touch on the trigger of destruction. The radar warning receiver was now a solid tone, a banshee's wail heralding the imminent arrival of the S-400's deadly kiss. The pilot had mere seconds to act, to pluck victory from the jaws of defeat. With a calm born of countless hours in the unforgiving classroom of combat, he made his choice. The MiG's nose pitched up, the afterburners roaring to life. A thunderous crescendo of sound and fury. The sleek fighter clawed for altitude, trading precious speed for a few more precious seconds of life. The altimeter wound up, 1,000 meters, 2,000, 3,000. The hammer whispered its siren song, seducing the pilot with visions of a clean kill. But the Russian beast would not be so easily fooled. The S-400, its radar now locked on with the inevitability of death, spat forth a salvo of missiles, fiery arrows streaking towards the MiG with murderous intent. The pilot jinked and juked, his muscles straining against the punishing forces of gravity, his aircraft groaning in metallic agony. At 5,000 meters, inverted, the MiG hung in the sky like a crucifix, a sacrificial offering to the gods of war. The hammer whispered one last sweet nothing, its targeting computer confirming lock. With a whispered prayer and a final caress of the trigger, the pilot let loose his deadly arrow. The hammer leapt from the MiG's hardpoint, a spark of human ingenuity in a sky full of hate. Its rocket motor flared to life, propelling the sleek munition toward its date with destiny. And in that moment, the hunter became the hunted. The MiG now fleeing for its life as the Russian missiles closed in for the kill. What followed was a deadly ballet, a dizzying display of aerial artistry as the MiG danced and dodged, the Russian missiles snarling and snapping at its heels. The Ukrainian pilot, his brow slick with sweat, his heart pounding a staccato beat, coaxed every last ounce of performance from his mount, the MiG pirouetting through the skies like a deadly ballerina. In the end, it was the hammer that sealed the dam's fate. Guided by the unerring precision of satellite navigation and the steady hand of Ukrainian vengeance, the munition struck its target with the finality of a judge's gavel. The dam erupted in a geyser of water and concrete, a testament to the folly of Russian aggression and the unyielding spirit of Ukrainian resistance. And as the MiG limped back to base, its fuel tanks running on fumes and a prayer, the pilot allowed himself a moment of quiet satisfaction. The dam was no more. The Russian war machine dealt a stunning blow. And in the annals of military history, a new legend was born. The Ukrainian MiG-29 pilot who dared to fly into the jaws of the beast and emerged victorious. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching. We greatly appreciate a like and a subscription to our channel. See you again soon.